Jagudev, everybody, welcome back. So, we'll go directly into the question because there's nothing much really happening here.
Jai Gurudev Guruji, if Maha Kali is Sri Krishna's energy, as they can accept and absorb anything that devotee offers them, then why do they say that Kali Mata gets angry if one doesn't worship her in a specific way? Isn't she happy with just a leaf offered with love and devotion, like Lord Krishna?
Look, every deity is present within the cosmic body of the Lord himself, you know. So all the devas is within the body of Lord Krishna himself. And specifically to this question, when we see Maha Kali, can anyone perceive her? Nobody can perceive her, because they see only one aspect, you know. And very often you will see what people say, you know, the mother, she accepts everything in a state of devotion. So when is offered, anything is offered to her with devotion, she will accept it. The point is that often there is misunderstanding in the worship of the Divine Mother, but they think because of her aspect of the outside, you know, and of course depend on what is the aim of the people, you know. So when one is always longing for material aim, of course you want to get certain power, certain things in life, of course then it demands a lot of things also. So people go into bargaining. So when they worship the mother, they think that doing big rituals, all this stuff, that will appease her, that will make her happy and fulfill one desire. People are fooled into that, because you see, they don't see that if your mindset doesn't come to the point of attracting what you are looking for, you can pray as much as you want, you can do big ritual as much as you want. If you are not in that state to attract these things, it will never come to you. So that's what happens when one prays. You know, one do lots of ritual and make complicated things, of course, you know, they like it. You know, more complicated it is, better it becomes. You know, they can't recognize that simplicity of love. You know, that's what Bhagavan Krishna shows, you know, when he gave the Gita, and he shows, you know, how simple it is, you know, for those who worship him with that intensity of love itself, you know. And that's it. He don't long for anything. He said, you offer me one leaves and few drop of water with love and devotion, that I shall accept. That also, I'm sure, the Devas also, the Divine Mothers also will accept when it is offered with love. There's no complication when there is love there. You know? In Canto 6, Chapter 3, verse 16 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, you know, himself, that supreme soul, you know, which reside in everything, can't be perceived by the physical eyes. It can't be perceived by breathing. It can't be perceived by yoga. It can't be perceived by ideas. It can't be perceived by mantras. You know, just like the eyes, you know, which is overviewing the whole body. The body is not aware of that supervising eyes. So when we see that verse and see how Bhagavan is embedded in all his creation, but yet how would one perceive him when searching for something which is material, When you're looking for something which is material, of course, you will come to that point of only attaining something which is material. And to attain something which is material, it needs lots of effort from your side. Because you see, your mind is fully absorbed into running towards a certain ideas. Because by fulfilling that ideas, I will be happy. If I get 1 million, I will be happy. Would you really be happy? If Divine Mother give you 1 million, would you say that you will be happy? No, you will not be happy. Because 1 million when you will want to have 10 million. When you have 10 million, you want to have 100 million. When you have 100 million, you want to have 1,000 million. When 1,000 million is not enough, you will want to have a billion. So the aim of that, you see, is always a greedy aim. And very often, you see, people who do business with God, they have a greedy aim inside of them. You see, look, it's not wrong to be happy. Now God have given you everything. Yes, you must appreciate life and really enjoy life. But you should never forget why you are here. What is the aim for you to build a relationship to your to the divine, really, to realize the purpose of you being in this world. So why aiming for things which is keeping you away from that aim? This is a problem. Very often people do so many worship, they become very complicated, which is because it's devout of love. But where there is love, everything becomes easy and very practical, actually. There is not much you have to do. You can just think of him. That's what he said to Arjun. No matter what you're doing, think of me. You will attain me in a very simple way. So you don't expect people to know all the mantras, do you think by chanting thousands and thousands of mantras, do you think, who are you fooling? Do you think you're fooling God? No, you're just fooling yourself. Because he don't look at how many mantras you're chanting. He's looking at your heart, how much longing you have for him. And that's what is the most important thing. If you have that longing for him, no matter you just chant a little mantra itself, whether it is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. He will come to you. He will rush to you whenever you call for him, because he knows that you are dear to him. But if you know so much mantras itself, you know the whole Vedas, you have the whole mantra, but yet you devout of that love for him, all these become useless completely. That's why you see most of the saints, in the simplicity of their life, what they have the most important is that love for him. And that's why Lord Krishna said, in the most simple way, think of me. And he said, in chapter 4, verse 23, those which is free, from material bondage, with their mind absorbed in the divine knowledge, they have they come to know me now. So all the action, whatever they are doing in a spirit of freedom. They do it in a spirit not to get something from that. So it becomes a yagna. So their action, whatever they do, doesn't have any karmic reaction. But everything else, when it is done with a mind which is full of egocentric wants, these actions have a deep reaction. So here we see, that man of perfection which Bhagavan Krishna talk about. It's a man who have true knowledge, that divine knowledge inside of him. Without that divine knowledge, of course, then you will do all these things, You will do all these, try to please the Divine Mother for personal gain and aim. Here Bhagavan said, no. If you are really longing for me, you will be free from that. So a mind which is devout from material attachment. Here Bhagavan said the devotee which truly long for him, they are not longing for something material. They want him, the Supreme Lord himself. They want that mind to access to something which is beyond the limitation, because the mind is drawn by the senses. So by everybody want to understand, everything through the senses here. In the Bhagavad, the verse Bhagavad said, Bhagavan said, the mind can't comprehend. The senses, that Supreme Soul which is in everything, that the senses can't understand that. The mind will not understand. Even your people do pranayama, do some yoga exercise, thinking that they are advancing towards God. Even that, he said, I am beyond that prana itself. I am beyond your ideas of who I am. I am beyond all the mantras that you can chant, all the words that you can pronounce. I am beyond that. How would you perceive me? How would you know me? And that is the question. It's only through love that you can know me. That is only through love that you can perceive me as being the one which is seated in everybody's heart. So it is not in complication of the mind, it is in the simplicity of your heart. Those who is seated in the heart, they sit in humbleness. They sit in humility of the heart. And their understanding, they are not seated in knowledge, book knowledge. I'm talking about knowledge here. I'm talking about the divine knowledge. I'm talking of knowledge which is awakening inside of them. Those devotee which is dear to the Lord, they dwell in that simplicity. And that simplicity is the loving that they have. So for them, they do everything. They live a normal life. But there's no karmic reaction. Because everything that they do it in remembrance of the beloved Lord itself. So by doing everything in the remembrance of the beloved Lord, so this is not what I want. What would please him? What will be dear to him? What will make me closer to him? That's what one should do. That is where you see the difference between the two. One, it is a super big ritual. In the other one, Bhagavan tells you, just think of me. So you see, then it's not about the deity themselves. It's not Bhagavan Krishna. It's not Maha Kali herself. It is the mind of such devotee. Because one mind longs for the Lord himself, and the other one also long for the Divine Mother. Take for example, bhaktas who have really loved the Mother with so much love, they also have excelled to that same stage, because it is only about love. It's not about the ritual itself. For sure, they try to do so many rituals to perfect them, but at the end, they get rid of all these things. They are not attached to that. When we take the life of Sri Ramakrishna, for example, we take the life of Bhamakipa. Bhamakipa's life, of course, was a big eccentric itself, because he was very much into the tantric part, because you see, worshipping the Divine Mother, they worship it with vigorous, with force, with power, forcing themselves, forcing nature in itself, you know. So there is not that gentleness which Lord Krishna showed. But Mother is gentle, you know. When you get to know her, you will see that she's, even in her fierce form, you know, she is the most gentle being. That's why Lord Krishna also appeared into that form, you know, and when Srimati Radharani came to meet him, and he took that aspect of Kali to fool the husband of Radha, actually. So then you know the story, how he saw Mahakali and he was pleased about it, and he was at peace with that, you know. Actually, this is to make one realize that in the most simple way, you know, when we long for the divine, you know, and in whatever form we long for the divine, it is him that take all the forms, you know. It is, don't forget what he said, you know, I am that supreme energy in all the devas, you know. It is me which give them their power. It is me that give them that that energy to act into this world, and I allowed them to, you know, when people pray to them, I allowed them to bring their prayer to me, and I fulfill that. So here Bhagavan is saying that no matter what, you see, whoever you're praying, it is me, that source of energy. That's why he shows, you know, he can take different aspects. He take the aspect of the Divine Mother for those who worship the Divine Mother. But like I said, one must have that love firstly. If without that love, it's not possible. But with love, even the most difficult thing become possible. So it is not how much mantra you are chanting. It is with what kind of attitude you are chanting it. What is the aim behind your mind when you're chanting this mantra? So bearing in mind that often people who chant all these big mantras, you know, they have aim for the material gain. They think that by having these powers, all this stuff, they will be happy. No, they will never be happy. If they were truly happy, they would not be living how they are. They were not going around and telling people, come, you know, let me do prayer for you, you know, you pay me. No, then they will be rich and tough, no? They will just concentrate on their prayer. No, why they have to do these things? Because they are not happy. So it's not about how much, it's not the quantity of mantra, it's the quality, you know. And that's what Bhagavan Krishna represents, that quality of devotion. So it doesn't matter who you're believing, you know, but the quality of devotion that you have towards God, that's what matters. And that's what God look at, you know. So if you have devotion towards Jesus, love him with all your heart. You have devotion towards the Divine Mother, love her with all your heart. You know? You have devotion towards Krishna, love him with all your heart. You know? That's what they look at. You know? And when they see that your devotion and your faith is strong, they will come. They will manifest themselves. But don't be deluded, firstly, by the extravaganza of the outside. Because the extravaganza of the outside will always stay on the outside only. They don't, like everyone said, they don't perceive what is happening inside, you know. So, Bhagavan remind one to look with one heart, you know. So when we start to look with the heart, we have a different perspective of life itself. And when we have a different perspective of life, then we start to reflect with knowledge of what is life truly. Why am I here? When we look at our life itself, then you start to realize, am I here to attach myself to this delusion? Or am I here to be free from that delusion? Am I happy? What happiness? You want one woman, you want one guy, you want one child, you want 10 child, you want a car, you have houses, you want a thing, and how much you will want. It's not that you can't have. Yes, have. But note always that your happiness doesn't derive from these things. Your happiness truly derives from the divine. Here I'm talking about not only external happiness, I'm talking about the true happiness that don't fade away when things disappeared. So when we count upon happiness of the outside, when you have your husband, you say, you are my dear husband, you are my source of happiness. Then your husband look at another woman, that first he said, you are my source of happiness. Looking at another woman, that the mind is diverted already. Then it disappeared. Where is your source of happiness? Where is only complete drama, finish. That source of happiness is change. So you see, you have happiness saying, my children. Actually, when you're saying my children, you have an aim behind that. When I get old, they will look after me. When I'm feeling sad, they will be there for me. So you always put a certain aim behind that happiness. So I'm happy because I will have somebody to support myself upon them. And then what will happen when they have their family? They will go. The moment girlfriend, boyfriend come into their life, it's finished. You are secondary. You don't even exist for them. So where is your happiness? Your happiness becomes sadness. From your sadness becomes depression. Finish. Because they are not making you happy. Because you think that being happy will be the way you want them to be. So that is craving for that kind of happiness. Then again you are miserable. So like that, life have a continuous happiness and not happiness. So one moment you are happy, the next moment you are not happy. And that's what people, when they lack true knowledge, they think that this is happiness. Then they go through life thinking that is my happiness. They go into that delusion, thinking that I am happy. They are not. But whereas those devotees who have centered their life upon the Lord Himself, they are joyful. You will see they don't need drugs to be happy. They are just happy. They smile, they cry. They dance in ecstasy. They sing. And this is in the most simple way. It don't cost anything to worship Him. Just few drop of water and a tulsi leaves offered with love that He accept. And I'm sure also the Divine Mother accept the same when it is worship with love. So.
Jai Gurudev, I have heard that one should not thank people for seva, nor praise anyone, so that we don't promote the ego. How can we express gratitude or give encouraging words to devotees who are doing their best at this time of crisis, helping to translate your books, satsangs, etc.? My heart can't stay silent, but I don't want to do something wrong.
Look, when somebody is doing seva, you people can say thank you. It's not a problem for you to say thank you. When I am saying about it is the Guru, when they are doing service for the Guru should not, I normally don't say thank you. That doesn't mean that the Swamis and the people which is helping into doing the service, they can't say thank you. They can say thank you. That is not a problem. I'm sure that by saying thank you will not make one very proud or very, from your side, it will not diminish the take away the punya which that person is doing the service, you know. So, but one thing have to understand, when we do service, you know, that what we are doing with the spirit into which we are doing, we don't normally even expect anything in return. So I'm sure the devotee who understand that, you know, they don't even expect that. But the manager or the people which is in charge of doing the translation or other seva, they can say thank you to the devotees who's helping. When I'm saying about me, I'm talking about me, you know, so because I'm very well aware of the consequence of how it is, you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, when Bhagavan said that those devotees whose mind is into the spirit of God, you know, they do everything in that spirit of service, the spirit of yagna, sacrifice, you know. So for them, they are doing constantly a sacrifice towards the Guru, towards God. And when they do that, of course, the devotee who have that true knowledge, they would not expect even the thank you from the Guru. But of course, other people can say thank you to them. This is not a problem.
Guruji, why did all the Pandavas, including Draupadi, go to hell except for Yudhishthira? It doesn't give us much hope if even they failed, quote unquote.
Sorry.
It doesn't give us much hope if they failed, like they all went to hell.
No. They don't go to hell, you know. They are devas themselves, you know. So how can they go to hell? This is misinterpreted, you know. That they say that the Pandavas, all of them go to hell. Only Yudhishthira went to heaven. No. You see, when they left this world, one by one, they all ascend. Now, so why, firstly, if we have a little bit of intelligence in the head, you will think a bit, you know. They've been next to Krishna, okay? And Krishna is not just a normal human being, you know. He's a superhuman being, you know. And how would they, who had that knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord himself, you know, constantly with them, they have darshan, you know. Here devotees are longing for a small darshan of him to manifest himself. And there they had him night and day with him. You know, how would they go to hell? No, they don't go to hell. All of them went to Vaikuntha, you know, because they all come from Vaikuntha. They go back to Vaikuntha itself, you know. So in chapter 9, verse 18 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, you know, I am the super soul, you know, which is embedded within this creation itself. You know? So I am the beginning. I am the goal itself of everyone. You know, I am that soul which is seated inside of everybody's heart. I am their supreme goal, not just a goal, you know, but I am the supreme goal, the goal where you go and never come back. So here Arjuna was there with Krishna continuously, and the Pandavas were there, you know, Draupadi was there with him. Of course they will go to the world, they will go back to Vaikuntha itself, you know. So if he is the goal, it was clear. Krishna said to Arjuna continuously, you know, in that verse, he said, I am the goal, I am the beginning, I am the end, I am the creator, I am the protector, I am the one with the soul whole upon, you know. So if Arjuna doesn't get this, if the devotee don't get that, you know, then it is difficult. So this is not only, you say, very often you see this verse, you know, in the Bible, the Christian always point that, you know, Jesus said, I am the way, the goal, the truth, you know, and there's no other way than me. And Krishna said, I am that goal. I am that way itself, you know. I am that the beginning and the end of everything. So there's no other way. So Arjun, all the Pandavas, who had been with the Lord of the universe himself, how can they go to hell? They can't go to hell. So it's just a different interpretation of it, because some of the interpretations say that because they have done all this killing, in the Mahabharata war, that's why. But you have not to forget that the Lord Krishna, after the war, said to the Pandavas, go and worship Lord Shiva and be free from these acts, because they had act upon, but they were not the one which were acting. They act. So remember the story I was telling a few days ago. Barbarik was telling, you all are fool because you think that you are the doer of everything. No, it is Krishna who have done everything. So if Krishna have done everything, so how can they have any karma to bring them to hell? Those who have gone to hell, they are already in hell. The Kauravas, they are all in hell. They were all killed, except one, of the Kauravas which were left. Yudhishthira, who was the 101 brother from the Pandava, because when they asked when to change, he changed position. He went to the Pandavas. So, you see, in that context, they didn't descend into hell. But in reality, they ascend into the highest of all heaven. They are great bhaktas. That's why Bhagwan was with them. And if Bhagwan is with them, so how can one go to hell? Even if you go to hell, he will be there also. So.
My humble greetings, Maharaj. Observing your mission and preaching, I see that although you are initiated as Sri Vaishnava, your movement appears to be more of a customized Vaishnavism, a mix of sampradayas and traditions, which I personally admire, although it is controversial. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Is the traditional sampradaya system wrong, and why not make your own sampradaya?
No, actually, look, the sampradaya is not wrong. We are living in a world of diversities, and we are, especially here into the West, if we have to bring all the deeper, the root of the Sri Sampradaya and give that knowledge to everybody here, people will not understand. People will not, because it's very deep in itself, and also if they can't be really explained about, it will be very difficult. And in your question, you mentioned about the mixture of Sampradaya. Look, there's a wonderful thing in all the Sampradayas. We are here as Vaishnava, and we are not here to criticize each other or to create differences, because we are all worshipping the same Supreme Lord, Sriman Narayana. You can call him Krishna, you can call him Rama, you can call him Narsingadev, you can call him any name you want to call him. We are worshipping the same Supreme Lord. When we have that knowledge that he is the only one that we are worshipping, then you can take different knowledge from each sampradaya. It's not about creating a new sampradaya, because this is not my aim. No, it's about, my aim is to bring the people to have an understanding of unity. Firstly, when we are talking about the Lord, why we have to create disharmony? Why we have to create a fight? Why Krishna is better, Ram is better, Narayana is better, when it is the same Supreme Lord himself, which is playing different role. So we create superiority. We create where we are superior than you all because we have that kind of understanding. And so when people have that kind of mindset, where is that love for God into it? So my aim is to have this unity and love between everybody. If as long as you believe in God, you are not hurting anybody. and you understand that that path which Bhagwan have given to mankind is the path of love. And when we understand that what is our aim, to attain to Him, but we can attain to Him only when we have love for each another firstly. We can't expect Him to save us when we are complete fighting with each another, create problem towards each other, claiming, have a big fight, but my sampradaya is better than yours, my God is better than yours. Then what the difference will be from you people which is so close to Bhagwan, who have by His grace revealed Himself to you, through His name, through His for Bhagavad itself, He have revealed Himself and His sweetness to you. Then you go on disrespecting other Vaishnavas, you go disrespecting other sampradaya, that is not my way. My way is that way that Bhagwan have revealed, the way of the Atma itself. In Atma, He is seated within that Atma. And when we realize that He is the one which is indwelling of that Atma, and it is only Him that is doing all this, so why we should waste our time in becoming like all other people? We should set example, firstly, of what we stand for. We should set example of that love which Bhagwan Krishna talk about. And we should set example of us being seated into the spirit of devotion and surrender, as Sri Ramanujacharya have preached, So he never told his disciple, go and fight with others, Never, in all his writing, he never said, go and fight with others. Others tell, yes, you go and fight with others. But he never said that. And in his humbleness himself, when there is a dispute, he left and go away quietly. He could stand and fight because he was a very strong person. His personality, when it is described, he was a very strong personality. Don't forget what he was, Adishesh himself. So when he is Adishesh himself, he could easily fight. When we look at Balaram mood, Balaram mood is not a soft mood. It is a very soft. But yet, when he came as to preach love to humanity, that's why he gave that mantra Om Namo Narayana to humanity, in spite that his guru told him not to do it. You will go to hell. He said, fine, I will go to hell, it's fine, but at least these people will go to heaven. And this is that attitude which he have shown, that attitude that he cares for humanity. He cares for everyone. So like that, those who believe in Sri Ramanujacharya, those who believe in the Lord Himself, must have that same attitude as Him. And when we call ourselves a Vaishnava is someone which have love inside of their heart for others, who have this compassion for other people in their suffering, seeing the soul of others, you care for them to bring them back to where they are. So that's why, you see, even if we are a mishmash of different sampradaya, even if I'm being initiated into the Sri Sampradaya, everybody is different. You have a different multitude of people. And of course, when we talk about unity, we have to incorporate everybody together. And that is my way, This is, I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to create any new Sampradaya, and I'm happy to represent the Sri Sampradaya, even if it is not deep as many people say it is, and but we have to see, I'm preaching here mostly into the West, so I'm here, and of course the people, the mindset of the people, if they want to go deeper, yes, they can go deeper into it, but if they can't, first handle little by little. So that's why. So thank you. Jai Gurudev.